why do we have to say the Michael
That's what I
Jordan
was
of
just
tennis?
about to
Why
say.
can't we just say she's the...
She's just the greatest
I just said
athlete.
it because Michael Jordan was older than Serena. And
I get it, but you're still putting
another sport.
not
No,
even just
a
the other
man.
sport, a man name stamp on it. Like, she could be the Jesus of tennis.
Did Jesus play tennis? I mean, I know he made tables and stuff. I think he was more into aqua sports because he walked on water and stuff. Y'all can't.
Water sports?
See, he walked on water. But the reason I say the Michael Jordan of tennis, I could also say like how FloJo was to track in terms of fashion and how she carried herself and how she broke records.
Yeah, but
The reason I said Michael Jordan is because we're talking about basketball earlier. It's not a man-woman thing.
okay, I like the analogy that
Why
she
couldn't she
used
be the
with
Sharon
MJ.
Miller?
But
Because
Or
I'm
Lisa
talking.
Leslie?
Because they didn't, in terms of affecting culture, like Michael Jordan is the reason that people started wearing longer shorts and baggier shorts. And
I
I'm talking
get
about
that, but-
from that aspect of it, not because he's a man. And
But we tend to place the man always as the goat of something before a woman. That's what I'm
100%.
saying. Like,
And to her point, even just Googling greatest athlete of all time, she doesn't come up at all. There's like, usually, you know how they give you suggested people or whatever?
you remember?
It's all
Say your
dudes.
piece.
If y'all rewind a little bit, remember when I had said that to me, I think she's the greatest athlete of all time? So the reason I brought up Michael Jordan in this argument, because you said in terms of people having seen somebody before them to have somebody to pattern themselves after.
yeah, but
So in modern basketball, that would be Michael Jordan's stamp. So that's just a parallel.
yeah, but she's not the MJ of tennis. She's
in terms of culture,
of
fashion, off the court stuff,
I just want to argue, but I'm just saying
what is she of tennis?
she's who she is of
She's
tennis.
Serena. She's Serena Williams.
She just don't have a.
So in terms of parallels, if you had to say
Here we go. Here we go.
another sport, for example, let's go with football.
Okay.
All right. If you had to say somebody that influenced the culture of football, like to what we see now, and people are patterning themselves after, if you say that person, that's not comparing the two individuals. It's just like a parallel for people that don't have a background in tennis, for example, something that they can relate it to.
I can agree, but then women always get overshadowed.
I get that.
Is what basically I'm saying is
I get that.
when you say the MJ of it, it still is placing women as the lesser
Okay.
of the component.
So,
but I get what you're saying.
How would I word that then? So educate me real quick. How could I
I
word
don't know. I
that?
didn't.
No, I'm saying in terms of making a parallel or bringing something to light.
We begin starting at the point of
Not
saying
comparing?
Serena. Just like you use the MJ comparison, we got to start bringing it forth as from stating the woman's name first too.
So, my wife does this a lot. We could be watching something on TV. For example, if we was watching the I Am Athlete show, right? And she sees Brandon Marshall. She wouldn't say, "Oh, that's Brandon Marshall from I Am Athlete," or Brandon Marshall that played for the Dolphins. She would say, "Oh, that's Michi's husband." Like, that's how she would say it. And I'd be like, that's Brandon Marshall. Like, this is his show. But she looks at it from the aspect of, oh, I know his wife, and so that's how I know who he is. So I get that in terms of the perspective. So for me, what you're saying is, it's not even about making the parallel at all. Just speak of the woman as the individual. I got that. I can do that.
Because that's the problem really overall in women's sports.
Right.
That's why you're getting the low pay. That's why you're getting, because it's still seen as the lesser.
And it's comparing it to the male sport. It's comparing it to the male athlete, which it shouldn't. It should just be their sport in general.
For instance, let's say, for example, my girls' basketball team. We were better than the boys' basketball team. But for some reason, it wasn't getting the recognition that it needed because it wasn't the boys' team. So we had what we call Mega Fridays. And at most schools, they wanted the boys to play at 8 because the boys was the big show and that's the gate. Well, at my school, I wanted us to play at 8 because we're the big show. You're coming to see us. We're going to put on the show. So guess what? We got the 8 o'clock slot.
Nice.
And we kept the crowd because we put on the show.
Now, from the fans' perspective and the crowd perspective, that's what you want. That's what you want to see because that's the show. But you can't tell me in this male-dominated field that didn't ruffle feathers, especially with you being a woman, a black woman, changing this whole program around. Like, what kind of adversity did you face? So not even on the court, but just from peers at your school, like colleagues, and then other coaches that you coach against.
Oh, it created a storm. They didn't want that. They tried to come with every excuse of why the girls should play before the boys.
So
and they try to keep it at that. They didn't like get into the fact that you're being successful, none of that.
It wasn't
winning
that.
Awards, coaching awards, being nominated for all these prestigious awards. And
so that just brings it back to Serena, where I could just remember this argument where when she first played Naomi Osaka, and she was arguing with the what do they call it? I mean, I know it's a ref, but there's a and then like she got angry, she got passionate. I don't want to say angry, but she got passionate about why she shouldn't have got that call, and then she slammed her racket. Now, she said later on in a presser that, well, guys do it too, and it's not a big deal. So it's like, it's kind of the same thing where you ruffle feathers just because you're a female, and as a guy, it's expected that he's just blowing off some steam. Like, why do you think that is?
What's your take?
what's my take? I mean, my take's always a little bit different than the typical, because I think the society has created this ideal that women are put you in this nice little box. This is how you're supposed to act. This is how you're supposed to behave. This is how you're supposed to look. And if you do anything outside of this box, then something's wrong with you. So when you have sports is where that's what never made sense to me, because if you're talking about being passionate or being aggressive or being physical, none of those actually fit into that original box that we placed women in, that they're supposed to, how they're supposed to be perceived by society. So then how do we expect them to entertain us? Or like men will be like, oh, I don't watch women's basketball because it's not as exciting. Like, do you like basketball? Like, if you actually are a fan of what the dude you say? If you don't love that, you don't like NBA basketball. Like, if you actually love the game of basketball and understand like the game within the game, fundamentals, teamwork, like unselfishness, you're gonna see that more so in women's basketball than in men's basketball. But for some reason, that's not entertaining enough. Like, oh well, you know, they should lower the rims, or women's games, they don't dunk, and that's what's exciting. Blake Griffin just signed with the Nets. Like, Blake Griffin was just known when he was with the Clippers for dunks.
Did he?
Yeah.
But look, he's known for dunks, right? Dude ain't dunked a basketball since 2019. Like, they did a whole stat line on that. Women are dunking in games. Like, all Blake Griffin was supposedly good for was dunking, right? But he's still signing. I think he signed for the league, the vet minimum, which is like 1.2 million or something like that.
Women are more physical too.
Yeah, definitely. They are. They're definitely more.
I know, because y'all got nails and all kind of stuff to be scratching.
Women are definitely more physical. If you want to say passion, I think passion is a reflection of our life too, because women are very passionate about everything that they do. You have to be passionate to run your house.
I mean, but why do you think of all people, why was it Serena? And was it just because on the stage? Because literally they said, what did she say? Days before in the men's match, someone did the same exact thing she did, they accused her of cheating. That was the other part of it too.
Well, it's like the triple whammy. She's a woman.
Yep.
She's a black woman.
Yes.
And she's a black woman who is dominating in her field.
That's not supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't think that should be. There should definitely be more men that speak out against that. I know there was a handful, but that should be like that all around.
That's the thing. Women are always coming to the defense for men. Like something happens to a man, like we talked about Maya Moore advocating, but it's not the same way the other way around. Like we hear about people getting killed by the police or whatever. You always hear about the male victims of it. Like outside of Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland, you don't hear the names of. There's more women that are killed than there are men. But why aren't men stepping up? I guess I should say, because we talk about there might be a few that say protect black women, or unless in today's Twitter society where everything is popular to be like, oh, support black women,
right,
love black women, and then it's like a phase, because what is it? One of them skincare companies or whatever. Everything is all about melanin and embracing black skin and all. Like that's the hot thing right now, and that's selling. Because these companies they realize, oh, there's dollars involved in this.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. Where the money reside. That's where they go.
And I'm gonna throw a little something in there. Actually, WNBA players were the athletes that stepped out on a limb way before NBA players when it came to reform and social justice and all of that. And yeah, they got a lot of flack for it, but I don't see them drawing as much attention to social justice as they should, like the guys did, and they just did that this past year. But they've been doing it way before that.
That seems to be the tale of the tape. That's how it's been historically. That's something that is ingrained in our culture, unfortunately. The whole divide and conquer kind of thing, in which you have the women pitted against the men, culturally, ethnically, even across the genders. It's always like there's a divide there. Instead of us working together as a team and like sitting on the same side of the table and then putting the problems on the table over there, it's almost like, well, I feel this way about it, and you feel this way about it, so that means we're on the opposite ends of the table. No, the problem is still the problem. We might be looking at it from two distinct perspectives, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together.
But our culture has deemed disrespect towards our women big time. They have made it where if you respect our women, something's wrong with you. You're odd. So I think, all that ties into it.
Now, going into that, you're talking about unity and unifying. Let me go and throw another wrench in it and make it a little controversial when it talks about trans women in sports. Now, what would you say about that? It's still unifying. They're a people. They are people. Should they be allowed in women's sports or men's sports if it's vice versa?
Do you want my opinion on this?
Both of y'all.
Because that's where I was
Absolutely not.
going with the Brittany Griner thing. Because she's so tall and so dominant, she's 100% woman. Like, people say, well, women want equality. Let them go against the men. But biologically, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's literally different levels of chemicals in your body that produce more muscles.
Very true.
Bone density, all this kind of stuff. So if you have a biological male, meaning somebody was born male, not in terms of what they identify with, but just born male, like going through puberty, like as little kids, everything is pretty much the same. But then when you hit puberty and those chemical things kick in, the hormones kick in, and the males grow. Some of us didn't grow as much as others, whatever.
Clearly.
But, wow, did you hear that?
I did. Yeah, I went there. It's fine.
It's all right. I'm going to save all my stuff off camera. So, now you have
He
a
tall.
level of strength that's involved. That's not on the same level. Not saying that women can't be as strong as men. There are women, of course, that compete in bodybuilding and compete in strength competition and all that kind of stuff. But just as a whole, for the most part, in pretty much every species of animal, the male, for the most part, is usually bigger and stronger. There's rare cases,
yes.
where there's like the female spiders are bigger, or the praying mantises that bite the heads off of the males.
I thought we were talking about humans.
But that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying in pretty much every species, the male is normally bigger and stronger because of what their role is in the animal kingdom. So, from a society standpoint,
Humans again.
even with humans, the males, if you find some fossils from thousands of years ago, the males have bigger bones. Then that's how they can identify, and of course the shape of the pelvis and all that.
I've heard of big boned.
Yeah.
That's some black people stuff, honestly. Like, she just know you have regular bones and you have big meat wrapped around those regular bones. But no, that's in terms of bone density, that's something different. Like, different ethnicities, like, they can identify based on like how solid and how the size of the bones and all that stuff, but that doesn't determine whether you're like a plus size person or a smaller person.
So you say no.
They should not be together. But what
So
I'm
you
saying
say no.
is, but this is a discussion.
But I'm just, you say no, right?
But I'm telling you why I'm saying no.
I get it.
Like, if we was to get into a fight, like fist fight, like all out, nah, I would never.
But you
hit
don't
a
know.
woman. I don't know that I would never hit a woman.
No, I'm not saying that you don't know if you ever hit a woman. You don't know if that woman's punch might take you out.
What I'm saying is,
I mean, it could be Layla Ali.
why would I be fighting Layla Ali?
I don't know. It could just happen.
I mean, since we're just throwing out scenarios, why would I be fighting?
Because you
Is
maybe
it for charity?
thought
She
you
got
were better.
that Ali blood.
Is it for charity? Like, it's an exhibition?
Sure.
'Cause
Yes. For charity.
Under no circumstances, if I'm in the same room with Layla, will I be trying
No, you're not.
to punch her?
You're not getting that.
Would I be trying to hit her? Take a picture with, pose maybe? But why would, no, but what I'm saying is, and I said me, male versus woman. Male versus female, man versus woman.
Okay.
The odds normally weigh, on average, the odds weigh that the man is going to be stronger. Now, I've seen some instances where dudes then got their butts whooped. But if we're
But
taking
see, we have to
averages,
be careful when we speak like those things.
like what? Where dudes got their butts whooped?
Because it ties back into kind of what we've been discussing this whole time. About a woman can't beat up a man.
I didn't say they couldn't. I said, but if we're looking at percentage-wise, like as a whole, for the most part, a bigger man and a smaller woman, right? The reason, even if you're looking at, so I don't want to say two men fighting because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I can't even express my opinion right now without. What I'm saying is, okay, in terms of just physical attributes.
Oh, that's
In
safe.
terms of, that's what I've been
That's
talking
a
about
safe
all along.
word. Safe.
That's what I've been talking about all
Safer.
along.
That's safe.
Right. For the most part, we're not talking about any kind of skill, anything involved, just physical attributes. The person who is bigger has the advantage for a few reasons, like the reach of the length of their punch.
I know this is off topic, but Meg Thee Stallion and what was his name?
Tori Lanez.
Yeah. She was bigger than him.
Right. And she probably whooped his butt, which is why he shot her. That just proves my point. The bigger person has the advantage. So, for the most part, I'll put it this way: if a man and a woman are the same size, women carry their weight differently.
True. That is
Like,
true.
men usually have a lower body fat percentage, on average, compared to women. Like, and consider what's in the realm of being healthy, right?
Yes.
They can be the same weight, but one person might look skinny while the other one is more round or voluptuous, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So the reason, if they're the same weight and the man has more muscle mass, on average, he'll be a little bit stronger. Like, if they're both going to lift weights, he'll be able to push more weight because he has more upper body strength because of where the muscle is distributed in his body, right? So if we're taking, for example, like with the UFC fighting, I got to go back to my Googles to find the name of, there's a transgender athlete that's been like literally destroying people.
Transgender and what? Like,
From male to female.
Thank you. Okay.
It's a trans woman from male to female. But so weight class, they put you in fights based on how much you weigh. So somebody that was biologically male and is like 140 pounds, and somebody that's biologically female at 140 pounds, although they weigh the same, their body structure is completely different. Now, I understand the process that that trans people have to go through in terms of hormones and all that stuff. But to a certain level, like, how do they determine, okay, you've had enough hormones and now you've completely, like on, what was it, the Black Panther, when he had to drink to remove the power of the Black Panther?
Right.
And then
I just think, to sum it up, I'm going to use a safe word. Safe.
minus baloney. Y'all gotta stop laughing so much when I say stuff. I'm just providing some color commentary. I didn't mean to throw you off though.
I don't agree with safe.
Why?
Because, like he has expressed, there is a huge difference between a man and a woman's strength, period. Not that a woman can't be strong. She can body build, she can take protein, and she can get strong. But there's still something different behind a man and a woman.
I can agree with that.
That distinctively we aren't.
I can agree with that. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm on the fence with this one. I really am. Like, I could see both sides of it, and I had to, like, I could literally show the people here. I could show y'all. I had no idea what to write comparatively to the topics that we've discussed, and I just had to go scientifically. So I read an article where they compared the athletes, and they said in a lot of cases that biological women, all that scientific stuff. Anyway, were actually stronger and better athletically than trans. So they don't necessarily have an advantage that we are saying that they do, scientifically speaking.
Okay, so biological women are stronger than trans women.
Yes, when it comes to their particular sport. It's not necessarily like, oh, there's data, there's all that kind of stuff, but what they're in their observation, they've seen that those who were born athletically, they're better, because there's also, think of it this way, you put your kids through certain trainings with certain sports. You put so much money, you invest into a certain sport. Regardless of how much money you throw at them, if they're good, they're good. If they're not, they're not. So that's kind of the analogy that they threw in when it came to that, is that that regardless of how they were born, they still have to go through the training. They still got to go through this. They still got to go through that. And sometimes even harder because they're not used to those hormones in their bodies. So there's different reactions and effects that occur. So that's just the other side of it.
Bone structure don't change when you take these hormones. Like,
What was that?
Your bone structure doesn't change. Your muscle, you might lose a little bit in terms of your ability to produce it naturally. But like female bodybuilders take steroids to get to a certain level of like muscle production because naturally, that's common myth. I don't know, some women that'll be like, oh, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get buff.
Right.
Or I want to get a trainer, but I don't want to get too buff. Like, do you realize how many weights you would have to lift and what you'd have to do to be all cut up and like, oh, I don't want my arms to get too big. Listen, those 12 push-ups and 2 bicep curls you did are not going to make you have arms like Angela Bassett on when she was playing Tina Turner. Like, she worked and worked and worked to get to that point. But that's what they think. Like, no, your body isn't designed to operate that way. So what you'll get is what you call toned, when you're nice and lean, but because you're just burning off excess fat, but you're not actually getting the striations and all the muscles popping out and your voice gets all deep. That's from changing. Yeah. So, but I mean, there's literally these UFC fights where this trans woman is breaking people's skulls. Like, they're getting punched and faces is bloody. And I mean, it's a UFC, so that happens anyway. Yeah. But to the point where it's like everybody you fight, you just destroying them because you're significantly stronger. So at what point do you drop? Even if we're not talking about like a contact sport like UFC fighting, something like track and field. I don't remember what the state, I want to say maybe Texas, not sure, but there's like a trans woman that's running track and she just won the state title. And so some of these young women are like upset, like.
So
go ahead.
I'm gonna throw this out here. I just want to throw it out here. Are we taking on this in the acceptance from a worldly standpoint, or are we stand within the realm of just say Bible?
Both. Because I mean, in terms of accepting them as a person, saying, "Oh, I want to change my gender." I don't have nothing to do with that.
And anyway. I get we're accepting them because
they're
of that.
human beings.
But let's just be honest. The agenda that is trying to be pushed at this current moment is that us saying yay, agreeing to the agenda of what we know that the world is trying to push right now, or are we going to stay within the agenda of what the word says?
I feel like it's kind of double-sided, the agenda in itself, from the perspective of, because it's like this, as soon as we start talking about women's rights and equality and equal pay and all this kind of stuff, then this is the curveball that comes in, and it's like, well, you guys say you want equality, so if men start wanting to become women, now you got to compete against them too. And it's almost like it's trying to water down
the movement in a sense, right?
It's like the all lives matter kind of, like when somebody says Black Lives Matter, oh, well, all lives matter. And then it's kind of a way to deter from what the actual goal, what the issue is. So in terms of Bible, like where we stand on that with Bible, that's between them and God, as opposed to as talk in terms of lifestyle, because that's all people. That's really what they want to get into is, oh, the lifestyle choices that they get up and go to Starbucks and go work out just like you do. That's the lifestyle. But in terms of from a sports standpoint, in terms of competition, I don't think they should be included. Like
exactly, that's the agenda
for both sides. So it should be a league of men that move to women to become female, and vice versa, females that became men. So now we got 4 leagues. We got the NBA, the WNBA, the W to M NBA, and then the M to W. I shouldn't
be laughing. I should not be laughing.
But do you understand what I'm saying though?
No, I get it. That's what I'm saying.
Man.
All jokes aside, what do you think those leagues would be like though? That would be.
We have to wait and see. At some point, it's only 2021. At some point, it's going to come out. Anything can happen. Trump was president. We gotta wait and watch The Simpsons. Whatever pops up on The Simpsons.
I'm mad that that's true. That's very true.
Whatever pops up on The Simpsons, we'll know. So if they start doing stuff and talking about this issue, then we know it's coming to pass.
Well, from my standpoint, just from my beliefs, I would feel uncomfortable with a guy wanting to join a team with a bunch of girls. Not because of, just, it would just make me uncomfortable with the changing. And I get you saying you identify as such, but still at the end of the day, your private parts are opposite of.
Well, what about, I'm talking about the ones that have like actually gone through the whole process, like took the medication, had the surgeries, and
But this is such a.
Yeah, it's heavy.
This is rough. I have to be honest, it's really hard.
Deception, though.
And even the fact that we're talking about women's history right now in sports, and this is still on the table, because it's like y'all can't have nothing to yourself.
Well, because you got men, and I'm no bashing to men. If they can't win in their sport, then they think they should come over to the
because you don't
women's
really
side.
you hear about it from the male to female, but you don't really hear about it because it happens in reverse. I seen Instagram. It was a dude that I was like, dang, that's body goals. It's like, oh yeah, this used to be a woman, and when she turned 18, and I'm sitting there like, got the beard connecting and everything. Like,
But here's the difference between women and men that I've noticed in the transition with that too. You don't hear women that has transitioned over saying, I'm gonna just jump up and I'm gonna go move the couch down the stairs. Like,
what? Coming from somebody who has moved the couch down some stairs by themselves, nobody want to do that by themselves anyway. Like,
but what I'm saying is,
bro, pick up your half. And
I don't care if she did put a beard on. She's not going to be the one saying that she's carrying the dresser down the stairs. She's still going to hire some movers, or he's still going to hire some movers.
That just sounds like intelligence.
That's what I'm saying.
Biologically, we're not that smart. That's proven. If it's a bunch of grocery bags, I'm going to try to make one trip. I'm trying to load my arms up. That's probably just being lazy, though.
But do you get what I'm saying?
No.
I had to get my shot back. That's why I said that.
Definitely not laziness.
So
Sir.
my idea, yeah, but I see what you're saying.
Women aren't just trying to jump over and play in the NFL.
We're not having this conversation.
There's what is her name? She had a whole commercial and everything. But there's a woman that went to junior college. She played, and
She
she
can be a
wasn't.
kicker.
No, she wasn't a kicker. She played cornerback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and ended up getting a scholarship. She
Well,
was like,
corners, you don't have to hit that much. You can kind of stay, you can just shadow and make it appear
hey, so you watching this?
like you doing something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'm glad corners aren't real athletes. I'm glad you agree with my dog. Yeah.
corners, I'm
You
not about,
gonna dap me up? Come on.
I will dap you, but
Thank you. DBs, they're shadow puppets.
don't
They-
twist that.
Whoa.
I don't like DBs. Everybody knows that.
Well, I know that.
They might be better athletes, though.
They're all right because they just have to shadow and mimic move.
That's hard. Have you ever tried to dance?
Yeah.
But
I played
you know
DB
what?
too. I
Safe.
just didn't like
Safe.
it. I know where you're going with this. But that's why at the parties you had your boys stand behind you to hold you up.
Oh, God. I'm done.
For about the boxes
Okay.
and gender roles, and this applies to this gender, this applies to that. But we miss the whole intersectionality of stuff. Like, we're multifaceted individuals.
Right.
And the problem is we try to put everything in so much of a box that anytime something doesn't fit, be like, oh, there's something wrong, or that's
They're labeled as this.
yeah,
labeled
and it's
as
about everything is about labels.
that. Yeah.
So if we can't define it or put a label on it,
That's why
then
you got
it's-
a name.
I mean, but then there's the point of if a woman does something that's not, that's not like a woman should be, she's a tomboy. So it comes back to this, like, what should it really be?
I'm still learning all the terms that people have. Like there's like cis male, cis female with the CIS, like
Well-
in terms of gender.
Yeah.
And then there's people that identify as non-binary.
Where they're
or
either.
people have pronouns that they want to be referred to as. And to me, the simple thing is, if that's what they want to be called, then call them that.
So where do we get the term alpha from? Alpha female, alpha male.
In terms of leader, like leader of the pack.
Yeah, but that's still a label.
Somebody has to lead.
So regardless, we pretty much say we're stuck on this one. It's a difficult topic to really touch on.
How they say in the barbershop at Coming to America. Boy name. Mom name Clay. I'm going to call him Clay.
I think it's perplexing because it's new.
Yeah.
It is, but it isn't.
But I don't think it's new.
It's not
It's new
We just ain't
publicly.
figured- It's not even new publicly.
It's
Look
RuPaul.
at, I'm talking about, if you go back into Greek history, a whole other,
No, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But it's a new dynamic to it now.
There you go.
it's a new cycle of the same thing that's been going on. Like, you read stories in the Bible that had the same issues, so to speak. And even before then, civilizations before that
But we
time,
living in
like,
Jesus' time, so
I'm just saying, in Jesus' time, like that's what they're thinking. Even in the New Testament, they have all these. The stuff is people like to pick and choose what they want to pull out. They be like, oh, being gay is this and da 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 da. But in those same scriptures where it's talking about your sexuality, it's talking about your anger management, and
it's all
all in the same. But we pick and choose. That's what I'm talking about in terms of labels. We want to make this one we want to make this one the issue
Yeah.
right.
instead of an issue. And so even just how it's a topic on the show, and we are perplexed, like, well, wait, how do I really feel about this? Now, in terms of sport, competing wise, I mean, you just look at the statistics of that and be like, okay, that's an unfair advantage in some cases. So
Yeah.
why would I know women football players, female coaches. I got a friend that actually played when I played in the IFL. She was like the first female, and she's like 5 feet, 130 pounds, and she played running back. And they gave her the ball, and these dudes tried to take her head off. And she got back up there, went back to the huddle, and got the ball again. She didn't score a touchdown, but she was trying to, like, the fact that she was out there competing, that was like the deal, like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. But it's like, bro, like, come on.
It's her will and her determination.
That's the part of it. But in terms of it's not a level playing field. Like, she'll never have a chance on that level to be successful just strictly off of the biological factors.
No, her body wouldn't be able to survive.
Right. So then we're like, okay, well, let's get a women's league, and we put all these labels and these separators. Some stuff is necessary, like
The bathroom.
you have to. Yeah, exactly. You have to. That's why there's stalls. I mean, there's unwritten and unspoken rules even in the men's bathroom. Bro, like, you come into the urinal, somebody else in there, you skip one.
What?
I'm just talking about in terms of separation. This
Okay,
stuff is
I was just
unwritten,
like,
but it's
we went.
necessary because I don't want to be sitting here handling business and you right next to me like, hey, so no, we're not even having the conversation right now. Like, we can talk out, but it just there has to be order.
But women
otherwise,
can talk in the bathroom.
That's an unwritten rule. Y'all go to the bathroom together. Like, if one person is at the table and get up, I gotta go to the bathroom. Ooh, girl, me too. And then everybody gets up and goes, and the dudes are sitting at the table like. But if a dude gotta go to the bathroom, ain't nobody finna be, hey, bro, I'm finna come there. What?
That's true. I mean,
We could be having a full-on conversation in the hallway. We get to the bathroom, conversation cuts off.
Is that a label? What is
It's an
that?
unwritten rule. I didn't make the rules.
Why?
There's
It just, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sitting here seriously just perplexed because the whole concept is just it's not new. Like it's new, but it's not new. It's just tough, and I'm sitting here like y'all making really great points, and I'm still here just stuck.
Yes, I can tell.
I'm stuck.
I mean, I know people on both sides of this, and so ultimately it just comes down to treating people with respect, treating
Facts.
people as individuals.
Facts.
It's really not that difficult. Like,
Go and preach.
but I mean, it's not. That's what Jesus did.
I just said go and preach.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
encouraging.
I know.
Okay.
And I'm feeding off of that. The amens, they get me going.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to make this a 3-parter if I get on that.
No.
PK, listen. But yeah, it's just about treat people the way that you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
As individuals, as human beings, with respect.
We don't know it all. That's just what I'm saying.
We don't.
Okay.
We don't.
When you say
So
we,
in-
you mean y'all too? Because
No.
I'm
You're
saying we
included.
as a human race, we don't know it all.
I just figured, I thought you was going to say another men versus women thing, so I was just waiting on the bashing. That's all. I was just preparing myself.
I wasn't bashing, but I think this falls into a topic kind of where we should just probably mind our business. If we just
At the end of the day.
mind the business that involve us, and
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And that's on what?
That's all Mary had a little lamb.
That's
What?
on Mary Had a Little Lamb.
but I think, in closing, while I'm minding my business, confusion is a little, because we're all perplexed.
Hey, but for real, in the comments, this would be a great time. For whoever's watching, this is a great time to put your thoughts in the comments.
Facts.
And because it's not even about a debate at this point. Sometimes it's just conversation. Somebody could hop on here that has way more insight and experience and information than any of us, because that's all we're just doing is just sharing our experience or our perspective and enlighten us on stuff. Like I learned stuff today on the show in terms of making comparative comments and things of that nature, how it feels from the other side. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, it's perfectly harmless what I'm saying, or I'm not saying it to be offensive, but we can't do better if we don't know better. So if you're out there watching and you disagree with stuff that is being said, or I just ask that you don't take offense to it, but use it as an opportunity to share your experience, to bring enlightenment. That's the only way that we can grow as a people. By people, I mean everybody as a whole, not men, women, black, white, orange, yellow, brown, none of that. Just people. I don't even know if we have to say whose side are you on, because it ain't.
I think she should close, though, because we are talking about women as the headline. So I like how you got serious and you spoke to our audience. Thank you guys for tuning in, but can you go ahead and send us home? Because,
No,
I'm stuck, but I appreciate that. Okay, I mean, on that note, I actually just want to thank you for hopping on and giving your perspective, your insight, and putting someone's ego a little down, a little lower than where it normally has been. So, and in celebrating Women's History Month, we're gonna close this out, and we'd love to hear from y'all in the comments and everything. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check y'all later.
thank you.